Well, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and one woman who knows the season all too well is raising her voice to talk about triple-negative breast cancer. Emmy-nominated host Nina Parker is lending her voice to help address barriers Black women face when it comes to breast cancer. So Nina joins us now alongside breast surgeon and advocate Dr. Monique Gary to discuss Uncovering TNBC, a campaign to promote self-advocacy, awareness, support, and connection for Black women who are impacted by this disease. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. And Ms. Parker, I'm going to start with you because as you're spreading awareness about triple-negative breast cancer, first, tell me why this cause was so close to home for you.
It was close to home because my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer several years ago. And as much as I thought I knew, I really didn't know much. And I had no idea there were different types of breast cancer. I had no idea that there were breast cancers that affected Black women differently. And so it really allowed me to really dive into more knowledge, more information, and I'm super grateful to be partnering with Merck with Uncovering TNBC to spread more awareness and really equip women with more information.
And Dr. Gary, as Nina hit on, triple-negative breast cancer affects Black women very differently, but can you define what this form of cancer is first?
Sure. So TNBC, or triple-negative breast cancer, is a more aggressive subtype of breast cancer. And while it's not the most common kind, it is the most aggressive kind. That means it's difficult to treat. It means by the time it's diagnosed, it may have spread already, and it impacts Black women disproportionately. So Black women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with this type of breast cancer. We see it in younger women, under the age of 40 even, and it's more likely to be associated with hereditary mutations like those in the BRCA1 and 2 genes. And so we just want everybody to be aware of this unique and aggressive type of breast cancer.
And thank you for that explanation, because a lot of times as Black women, when we're at the doctor's office, we find that our concerns are not always being heard. So how do you recommend we advocate for ourselves in those interactions with our doctors?
And I'll let the doctor speak from her perspective, but for me, I think it's important to ask questions. And I listen to my gut, and I'm pretty good at communication. So if I feel like that's not being met for me, I have no problem trying to find a provider that can better suit me. And listen, doctors, it has to be a good fit with you and the patient. And I think a lot of people feel like it's the teacher. It's like an authoritarian thing where we have to listen and we have to stay where we're at. And listen, if you are not feeling heard, if you are not getting your questions answered, this should feel like a collaboration. And if you don't, I encourage you to seek, look out and try to match with other doctors, see what feels better, ask those questions, because ultimately your care, your mental health is going to be incredibly important during this process. And you want to feel like you have someone who is going to lovingly collaborate with you without making you feel like you're a burden.
And Dr. Gary, on the other end, what do you like to hear from patients?
I think what's important for people to know, number one, is that this disease can impact young women. I'm seeing younger and younger women. And what that means is they may be too young for screening. And so if you have symptoms, go to your doctor and do not get turned away. One of the most important things you can ask your doctor is, how can we be more sure? Is there testing we can do? And the answer should be yes. So I want people to feel empowered, one, to know their family history. I want them to, if you're of screening age, get the screenings. It's so important for you to get the screenings, not just in October, but all year long. Yes. And it's important to know your risk, know that there's a way to talk to your doctor and get the answers, and partner with your doctor. Like Nina said, that partnership is so important.
Yeah, this is so important, Dr. Gary. It should feel like a collaboration and a partnership between us and our doctor. Now, Nina, I know you said this affected your mom, but what advice do you have for other sisters, friends, and cousins who are going through this?
I know for myself, even with my mother's diagnosis, I waited 2 years to get my first screening because I was just really terrified that I'd have to go through the same experience as her. And that was with information. So you're going to be human. You're going to have those thoughts. It's so important, though, to finally, my doctor sat me down and scolded me and was like, you're going to get in this office. And that's what I needed. And some of us have to learn what our love language is, right? And sometimes for me, it's tough love. But it's important to get those screenings because early detection is key, especially with TNBC. That's something that's imperative. Just because you avoid it does not mean it goes away.
Yeah, that is very true, Ms. Parker. Just because you ignore things doesn't mean it goes away. But Dr. Gary, we talk a lot about breast cancer awareness, but how should we be continuing the conversation all year long, not just in October, and especially when it comes to triple-negative breast cancer awareness?
You can talk to your family. You can know that family history because that determines when you should get screened. You should know your body. We see young women getting this disease and they may be too young for mammograms. So you've got to not only know your body, but feel empowered to take action, to talk to your doctor. And that empowerment, the empowerment comes from action. So we want people to take that action. We want them to go to the site, get the information for your friends, for your sisters, for your loved ones who are battling TNBC. Everybody knows somebody who's going through breast cancer, and there's so many great resources and good information on the site. So go to the site, get the knowledge, know your risk, be empowered, and take action.
Thank you so much for joining us and for helping us take the first step in uncovering triple-negative breast cancer. And with that being said, you all at home can take the first step too. You can head on over to the website that you see right here on your screen to educate yourselves more on this form of breast cancer.